What's up, third graders? It's me, Mr. McGow, and we are going to talk about solid shapes. Oh, like solid shapes like squares and rectangles and triangles. I love those. Mr. McGow wearing glasses. Those are not solid shapes. Those are two-dimensional shapes. Those are flat. You couldn't even pick up one of those shapes. We're talking about 3 dimensions. Welcome to 3D. They got length, width, and height. You can actually pick these shapes up. Pretty amazing. Oh, like what would be a 3-dimensional shape? These are shapes like sphere, cone, pyramid, but we're gonna focus on polyhedrons, which is like a polygon with its flat sides, no curved lines. And when you take those into the 3rd dimension, those are called polyhedrons. Polyhedron, is that like the Greek word poly, meaning many, and hedron, meaning face? Like a shape with many faces? Let me check my hair. I think you just blew my hair back with that answer, Mr. McGow wearing glasses. You are right. That is the Greek word poly, meaning many, and hedron, meaning faces. These shapes are going to have many faces. We're going to specifically look at one type of shape today called a prism. What makes something a prism? A prism is a polyhedron that has 2 parts. It has a base and it has a face. I'm going to show you some prisms and see if you can figure out what makes these shapes prisms. I will also go over what the base is and what the face is. And you'll find that there is something that all prisms have in common. That's what I want you to see, if you can figure out. I'm going to make the first prism appear in my hand. Abracadabra, prism appear. There it is. This is a prism, and it's a beauty. Let's talk a little bit about the parts of this gorgeous prism. This prism is called a triangular prism. Why is it called a triangular prism? Remember how I talked about bases and faces? So, bases and faces, bases and faces. This is the base of the shape right here. This is the other base of the shape. This is not a base of the shape. This is not a base. This is not a base. These are called faces. Bases and faces. Bases and faces. What do you notice about the bases? And what do you notice about the faces? Go ahead, comment out loud in your house right now. What do you notice? You can tap into your knowledge of 2-dimensional shapes. Let's talk about a second prism and see if you can figure out what makes a prism a prism. And it's going to be related to the bases and the faces. Abracadabra, second prism appear. Where is it? Where is the second prism? I thought I said, wow, here it is. This is another prism. This is the base. This is the face. This pyramid is called a rectangular prism. A rectangular prism. Look at that base. And then look at these faces. You might see something that's the same from our triangular prism. And you might notice something that's different. Look at these bases. It's all about the base, about the base, about the base. And then we have these faces. This is a triangular prism. This is a rectangular prism. They have something that's different, but they have something that's the same. Same, different. What are you noticing about prisms? Let's check out another prism and see if we can figure out what makes something a prism. Abracadabra, make the prism appear. in my hand. Where is it? Wah! Here it is, another prism. This is the base of this prism. This is the face of this prism. Base, face. Base, face. This is called a hexagonal prism. What do you notice about the base and the face compared to this prism? Here are the faces, here are the bases. You're looking for things that are the same. Look at this one compared to the original triangular prism. Let's look at, we have bases and faces. Bases and faces. What do you notice that's the same about these two prisms? Go ahead, call it out in your house right now so your little brother or sister or older brother or sister or mom and dad can hear you. What do you see that's the same? Not really sure what I'm seeing that is the same, Mr. McGow. What are you talking about? Bases and faces, and what is the same? Mr. McGow wearing glasses. I know there are third graders that have been calling it out at home. They see what's the same. They also see what's different. Some third graders might even know how these shapes are named. I'm going to see if I can find someone to help you, Mr. McGow wearing glasses. Let me look out on the class, see if I can find anyone who might know. All right, you're the only person with your hand up, oversized third grader. Why don't you go ahead and explain this to Mr. McGow wearing glasses? What's the same about all of these shapes? And then also, where are they getting their names? That's sort of a bonus question, and I'm not even sure if you can answer it. Yes! This answer is going to be straight fire. I'm going to look at this first prism we talked about. This is a triangular prism. Its base is a triangle. Its face is a rectangle. Now I'm going to look at a rectangular prism. Its base is a rectangle, and its faces are all rectangle. You could also call this prism a square prism. Square is a rectangle, so it could be called both. But look at their faces. Both have rectangle faces. I'm going to pull out one more prism and see if that is the same for this prism as well. This is the hexagonal prism, and its faces are rectangles, and its base is a hexagon. So every prism has faces that are, wait for it, rectangles. Rectangle, rectangle. Sometimes, oversized third grader, your answers blow me away. That is a great answer. Thanks for the compliment. Now I'm going to get to your second question. How are prisms named? If all prisms have the same faces that are the same shape, that are rectangles, you got to look at the base. It's all about the base, about the base, about the base when naming. All about the base when naming prisms. That's right, you gotta look at the base. This is called a rectangular prism because the base is a rectangle. This is called a hexagonal prism because its base is a hexagon. This is called a triangular prism because its base is a triangle. Again, mind blown, oversized third grader. That's crazy. Mr. McGow wearing glasses, do you understand now? If I'm to understand what the oversized third grader said, and I think I do, prisms are called prisms because all of their faces are rectangles. And the way that we name prisms is by their base shape. So whatever the base is, we call it that plus the word prism. Guys, you nailed it today. We're going to look in our books now. We're going to turn to this page, but we're not going to do what it says. We're going to do something a little bit different. So go ahead and turn to this page. The number that shall not be named. And what I want you to do, we can't do 1 or 2. We can kind of do 3. So I'm going to talk a little bit about 3, and then you're going to go ahead and do it. I want you to carefully draw each face of your prism. A base is actually a special face. So they're all called faces, So we're going to draw the base of a triangular prism, and then we're going to draw the faces. And you're going to just freehand draw it the best that you can. All right, so third graders, on page 200 and the number that shall not be named, I want you to draw this shape. It's a triangle, so you're going to draw a triangle. Then you're going to draw this shape. This is also a triangle. You should draw 2 triangles. Now, how many faces do you think this triangular prism has? You can kind of think about it by using that. I think that there will be 3 faces because the triangle has 3 sides. See if you're right, Mr. McGow, wearing glasses. Let's count the faces. You're going to draw these. You're going to draw 1 rectangle for this face. You're going to draw a second rectangle on page and the number that should not be mentioned. And you're going to draw this rectangle, which brings us back to the beginning. Mr. McGow, wearing glasses, you were correct. Because a triangle has 3 sides, that means it has 3 rectangular faces. I wonder if that is true for every one of the prisms. I'm pretty confident that it is. Let's check your prism knowledge and see if you're right. This is called a rectangular prism. A rectangle has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, which means a rectangular prism has 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangular faces. Now let's check for our last one. This is called a hexagonal prism, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are right, Mr. McGow, wearing glasses. The number of rectangular faces is related to the number of sides that the base has. Man, we've learned a whole lot today. Is there anything else that is important to know as a third grader about prisms? There are 2 more things I want you to know about prisms. When we look at this prism, when faces meet, 2 faces meet, they create this straight piece. This piece is called an edge. Say that with me, edge. Now, when edges meet together, they create a pointy part called a vertice. Those are also very important vocabulary words that you need to know, edge and vertice. Well, I think I got it. That's a lot of knowledge. And I always know if I miss something, I can always go back because this is a video and I can watch it again. That's true, Mr. McGow, wearing glasses. Let's quickly review. We have these shapes which are called prisms. These are polyhedrons, which are polygons made into 3 dimensions. It's called a prism because it has sides that are faces that are rectangles and bases that could be a different shape. We also learned about edges and vertices. Third graders, have a great day.